What's up, everybody? Welcome to Daily Betslip. Usual Friday squad here. I'm Reed Wallach. That's Donnavan Smoot. Thanksgiving weekend, not going to stop us. We're still doing Daily Betslip. Happy Thanksgiving to all of those and happy Black Friday. Of course, we come on live just as the U.S. gets a 0-0 draw against England in the World Cup. Second straight draw of the tournament. So our resident soccer expert, Donnavan Smoot. Donnavan, I'm going to put you right in the spot. What are your initial first impressions from this match, and maybe set the table for what the U.S. needs to do now to advance the knockout stages?
Yeah, I'm fairly impressed by everything that they did. I think everybody, at least if you're like not American, everybody thought that England was gonna come in and kind of dominate this game, and there were a lot of people talking about, just like what the margin was going to be, rather than if the U.S. can stay in it, and they proved that they can stay with England. They the second half was a lot better than the first. They put a lot of pressure on England. They had a sequence where they had about 4 straight corners and they just couldn't connect. And so I think the big takeaway is that going into the Iran game, you're going to have to play with the same amount of pressure and same amount of aggression that you did today, and you're just going to have to convert on corners. You're going to have to convert on set pieces, because even things like the last play of the game, where you get a free kick and you can try to get a volley, maybe get a header into the box, and they decide to play it short and nothing happens out of it. So if the aggression stays high, we need a win on I don't know when the next game is, but we need a win against Iran, and they're gonna have to kind of keep the same energy to go out and get that.
Yeah, of course. Like you said, gonna need the win against Iran. That is on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Iran beats Wales. That was this morning, right? I don't even know, the days are blending together. But Iran gets a shocking win against Wales. So now this sets up England has 4, Iran 3, US 2, Wales 1, setting up what is going to be a pivotal Tuesday. So we'll see how Iran-US goes. I mean, I'm going to call myself a novice soccer fan. I don't really follow the sport. I just, I watch, I kind of make my own opinions. And I've been impressed with the U.S. just based on how I've been told that this is kind of a rebuilding U.S. team. But I will say that this does seem like it is a young U.S. team. You could see kind of the youth and that they run out of gas a little early and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised in that regard, but I am impressed with how they're playing against an England team that, this is, one of the favorites to make a run.
Listen,
here.
I have a future on England to win the World Cup. I think that they have a lot of the pieces in order to do it. I think that
and the U.S. went toe to toe. Like you could argue relative to expectation, U.S. outplayed England today. I mean, I don't even think that's. And I saw it was like a plus 700 on the 3-way money line. They were not supposed to win this game. They outplayed them, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's 100% like a fair assessment of everything that happened. But yeah, so England is riding pretty, especially with the Iran win today. And so they're at 4 points. They really just need to make sure that they don't lose.
Draw you're in.
Yeah, draw or you're in for England, and then for the US, you got to go out and you got to get a win against Iran, which, as we see today, is going to be a little bit tougher than we thought coming into the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some World Cup discussion here on a Friday. So jam-packed show for you. We're going to talk some college football week 13, some NBA tonight, our marquee matchup, Cavs Bucks. I feel like the Bucks are like always, it's always like Bucks or Celtics are getting this Friday night marquee matchup for us. And then, of course, we're going to do our NFL hot takes, predicting the bold predictions before they come out. So you're going to see what they're talking about on ESPN on Monday. So we got a lot to get to. Let's just dive right in. Why not? Donnavan, you got 3 bets on the hardwood tonight. So let's start. We're going to start in Memphis for the Grizzly game. Let's hear it. What do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to take Memphis on the spread tonight against the Grizzlies. Against the Pelicans, excuse me. But so Memphis goes, and they're playing this Pelicans team that has played fairly well in the last week. They've won 5 of the last 6. However, Ja Morant, this is his second game back from his ankle injury. Jaren Jackson Jr. has also been making his return. So now you're starting to get that dynamic duo back, and you get the core of what made Memphis great last year. The defense has already improved, and that was the main issue with the Grizzlies at the start of the year, was that they just couldn't stop anybody, particularly around the rim. Jaren Jackson Jr., that's what he does, right? He's an elite shot blocker. He can alter shots around there. So I think even with Zion and Jonas down there, Jaren Jackson can make the difference on defense, and then John Morant can come in and do what he does on offense. And also, New Orleans, they are missing. They're going to be without CJ McCollum, so that is their pseudo point guard that they're trying to try out. But he's also 20 points a night that they're going to be without. I think Memphis is in a really good spot to go and get this win against New Orleans. So that's my first play. Second one is second one, I'm taking Atlanta -7.5 against the Rockets. Houston is they're not good, and I had some higher hopes for Houston. I thought they were going to be okay, but they just can't defend anybody. They can't score. And Atlanta, when you have two elite guards the way that they do with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, and elite may be a stretch for DeJounte, but you understand what I'm saying.
No, I got it. It's an elite backcourt for sure.
Yeah, it's up there. So Trae Young kind of came out of his slump, and in his last game, he hasn't had the best season, but he had a really good night in his last time out. I think he can continue that against the Rockets, and then with DeJounte Murray being able to put a lot of pressure on Jalen Green and or Kevin Porter, I think that backcourt is going to be shut down a little bit. So I think Atlanta, they're going to be able to cover against Houston on the road tonight. And then my last one, it's a player prop. I'm taking DeAndre Ayton over 9.5 rebounds. If you can get this up to like over 10, I like it there as well. He's cleared double digits in 4 of his last 5 games, and he's cleared over 10 rebounds in 3 of his last 5. So we're not really seeing like the offensive development that we thought we would get from DeAndre Ayton, even with Chris Paul out. But the one place he's really been consistent has been on the boards. And so the Suns are at home against the Pistons tonight. Detroit, they missed a lot of shots. That's why they suck. Yeah. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunities for DeAndre to crash the boards tonight. So I like DeAndre over 9.5 rebounds.
Yeah, I love it. The Pistons. The Pistons have been underwhelming. I'm surprised about that. I had higher hopes. Houston being bad, I'm not that surprised. Just based on their roster construction, like they need a point guard desperately. Jalen Green's not that. Kevin Porter's not actually that. So I'm not that surprised that Houston's struggling. But yeah, I like all 3 of those plays 100%. So moving over to mine, this is like the beauty of college football this week. It's the final week. It's rivalry week, but there's also a bunch of games on Friday. So you're going to see me looking over to the right here as I have some college football games on. 1-1 start to today. Shout out Tulane for getting the outright win as underdogs, but not shout out to Boise State, who couldn't just go down and bounds and run the clock out, and the under could have hit. But it's all good. So let's do some Saturday 4-pack for you. Of course, 1 bet for each time slot tomorrow. Still plenty of games. So we got first one, Clemson, South Carolina over 52. I think that this South Carolina offense is finally coming into its own with Spencer Rattler under center. I mean, they broke out 63 points against Tennessee last week, ruining their hopes for the college football playoff. And Clemson's defense is better than Tennessee's for sure, but Clemson has a vulnerable secondary. We saw teams like Wake put up 40 plus on them. We saw Florida State move the ball on them through the air. So I think Spencer Rattler's going to be chucking it all across the yard. So I expect points from the South Carolina side. And on the other side, Clemson wants to run the ball. They're top 15 teams top 20 team in terms of success rate on the ground, top 30 in EPA per rush. South Carolina, 124th in defending the run in terms of success rate. So I think there's going to be points from both sides. I think you're going to see Clemson get into the high to mid 30s, and then South Carolina, get into those mid 20s or so. So over 52, I think we're going to clear that total. Next up, 4 o'clock, Iowa State plus 10 against TCU. Matt Campbell's double-digit dog is unreal since getting to Ames. 10-2 against the spread. And I mentioned this on the early read on Tuesday. So if you want to further analysis, check that out. But Matt Campbell runs a 3-3-5 defense with Iowa State. And if you listen to Sonny Dykes' comments before the season, he brought in Tulsa defensive coordinator Joe Gillespie to run the 3-3-5 defense because he couldn't figure it out at SMU in the AAC. So he's like, I got to get this guy. Brought him in. TCU's defense takes a big step forward. Iowa State runs the same defense. So I expect Sonny Dykes to struggle a little bit here and this game to be lower scoring. It's going to be raining in Fort Worth on Saturday afternoon. So I think 10, way too many. I think that this is going to be a rock fight, especially with TCU being banged up. Kendre Miller left the game last week injured. Quentin Johnson left the game early injured last week. So there's going to be a lot of, banged up bodies on the field if they even go. So TCU, I think they end up winning and they have an undefeated regular season, but I don't think they cover this big spread. Next up, prime time. Give me Notre Dame plus 4.5. I think they win this game outright. Styles make fights. It's an absolute mismatch here. USC, fifth worst success rate, rushing defense in terms of success rate. Notre Dame, all they want to do is run the ball. We've talked about them all year. We fade Notre Dame as a favorite. We buy them as an underdog. They're 4-0 against the spread as an underdog this season. They've beaten teams like Clemson outright because they could pound the rock. I think you see Notre Dame absolutely dominate on the ground. And then on the other side, Travis Dye out for USC. That's going to show in this game against a Notre Dame secondary is top 10 in success rate against the pass. Caleb Williams is awesome, but he's going to struggle against a really good secondary here in the Fighting Irish. So I think Notre Dame 4.5 for sure. I think they win this game outright. Last late night game, San Diego State money line, small dog, plus 105 at home. Jalen Maiden, a converted safety. He's taken over at quarterback, and the San Diego State offense looks revived, scoring 30 plus in their last 2 games. Air Force, outside the top 120. So they're a bottom 12 defense in terms of pass success rate. I think Maiden has this newfound passing game alive with San Diego State. They also know how to shut down the triple option. Last year, they won 21-14 against the Falcons. So I think San Diego State wins this game outright with Maiden under center, their third straight. So give me San Diego State money line, and there's our Saturday 4-pack.
Okay, I like it. How'd the 4-pack do last week?
We went 2-2 again, so I think that's back-to-back 2-2s, which is we lose a little bit, but I'd like to go out on a high note here. So I think Notre Dame is going to win outright, and people are going to act like all surprised.
You hate USC. You faded USC all season.
This is like the time though. I said though, like Utah, we were getting them there. We finally were going to get them. We got them there, and I think right now, Notre Dame. This is like the perfect matchup for USC to go down.
Yeah.
Notre Dame force a few turnovers, pound the rock. Like I'm getting serious. Not that like the talent gap is that big, but like Washington versus Philly. This is NFL, but like Commanders, Eagles Monday night vibes where like, I know it's going to strike a nerve with you, but like Commanders keep it on the ground the whole game, keep it slow, pick up some third and shorts, and then get like 1 or 2 fluky turnovers. And then all of a sudden they just win the game.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Let's look at
that recap graphic and we could get you those bets. Donnavan has 3 NBA bets tonight. I have 4 for tomorrow. So Donnavan, Memphis minus 2.5 against the Pelicans. Atlanta minus 7.5 against the Rockets. And over 9.5 rebounds for DeAndre Ayton as the Suns take on the Pistons. And then for me at noon, I'm taking Clemson, South Carolina over 52. At 4 o'clock, I'm taking Iowa State plus 10 against TCU. Notre Dame plus 4.5 versus USC is my main event, my primetime game. And then San Diego State money line plus 105 versus Air Force. How I'm going to cap this off. And there's 7 bets for you on a Thanksgiving weekend here. So let's talk some NFL. NFL Week 12 bowl predictions. We kind of went like head to head, and you were right, but I almost was onto something though. Yeah. I was tracking towards as my bet kind of just hit the skids here with Arizona throwing a red zone interception, but I was onto something with Tua becoming the MVP over Mahomes. Obviously, Mahomes does what Mahomes does, goes 80 yards in the final minute and a half, beats the Chargers.
Yeah.
And the Chargers fall at 500. Chiefs now in like firm control of the AFC West and likely the number 1 seed in the AFC. So let's see what happens this week. We are not head to head. We're looking at different conferences. So Donnavan, you were looking at the AFC. I'll let you go first, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah. So I am going to say that the Bengals and Chiefs, I think so. The entire year, we've kind of just assumed that it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs. I think after this week, a lot of people are going to start saying that it's going to be the Bengals and the Chiefs because the Bills had lost 2 straight weeks. They lose to the Jets and they lose to the Vikings, and then they get into an absolute rock fight on Thanksgiving with the Lions, and they don't look particularly well. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, they go ahead. They make the plays at the end of the game that they had to, and they end up winning the game. But I think that Cincinnati's in for a really, really big game this week against Tennessee. They're getting Jamar Chase back, and we saw last year in the playoff game the types of plays that Jamar Chase can make, right? That if you just get him the ball in space, he could break 1 tackle, and now he's gone for 50 yards. So I think Cincinnati, even without Joe Mixon, I think some people might be undervaluing them, might start to lean in Tennessee's direction. They're the greatest underdogs, and you just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. This is a Bengals team that I haven't really been hot on all season long, but I think that we're going to start seeing a lot of people start talking about them more because they have come on in a very good way in the second half of the season. So I think I think everybody's penciling in the Chiefs in the AFC
Yeah,
Championship game.
100%.
Now it's going to be, are the Bengals going to get there or are the Bills going to get there? And I think we're going to start seeing a fraction of people start saying, well, Cincinnati's actually here and they made it there last year. And this season feels the same as last year, where they started getting going towards the second half of the year. So I think that's going to be the storyline after
Yeah,
this week.
I think that Bengals Titans game on the road, that's a big statement game with how the Titans have been playing of late. I think definitely can't fault you there. I don't know if I'm believing in the Bengals just yet. I still believe in Baltimore a little bit. I don't know. I still feel like there's another gear for Baltimore.
There feels like another gear for Baltimore, but there's too much going on. Their
Lamar's
offense
hurt every week with another thing.
Exactly. There's a nagging injury with Lamar. They have no outside threat. The running back room is depleted once again. The offensive coordinator and the offensive system seems so outdated, and it seems so just uninspired.
Yeah.
And the defense is either going to be, average and get that game so that Lamar can make one drive at the end of the game, or they're going to give up 35 points in the fourth quarter, and you don't know what's going to happen. So
the Bengals might be a little bit more.
Believe in them. I don't know
the
though.
Bengals might be a little bit more well-rounded than the Ravens, just from a defensive offense. They could kind of beat you in different ways. So I don't hate that at all. I'm not really buying the Bills. There's something up there. I thought maybe it was like a regular season swoon because it happened last year. There's Josh Allen. I don't know, something up with him.
Sometimes he tries to give the ball away. It seems like
you're right. This is not my hot take, but like bonus hot take. I'm sitting on it, so I want to throw it out there in the world, and we'll see if people catch it.
We'll soft launch it today.
Yeah. Like, I think he sees Mahomes like he has to be better than Mahomes. Like, it's like me versus Mahomes. Like, we're the two best. I have to one up him, and he's just not Mahomes. And like, that's okay. But it seems like he tries too hard to do what Mahomes does, where he should just be Josh Allen. He's great on his own. He doesn't need to be better than Mahomes.
I agree with that because I can see that being the case. My other thing with Josh Allen is it's not like he's making these mistakes when he's rolling out, spinning back 3-4 times, and then chucking the ball downfield. He's trying to throw. He almost threw an interception with the guy right in front of him, 10 yards away.
Weird.
But it's simple mistakes, and so it's like, what? Like, why are your mistakes the easy ones and not whenever you're trying to force? So I don't know, but that's what worries me about the Bills is that he's messing up on easy reads and on easy plays, and he's trying to give the ball away. So there's an opening for that second spot in the AFC Championship game.
100%.
Yeah.
So bonus hot take there, talking some AFC. Mine though, a little bit simpler, but I think this Packers season just kind of. I mean, I think it's already there. It's already at the end, but. I think Rodgers now said he has a broken thumb. That's like, it's not going to be surgery, but like, it's kind of just is what it is. It's just broken. Oh, that's not great. They play the Eagles. They're 6.5-point underdogs on Sunday Night Football. I think if the Packers look dead against an Eagles team that they've looked a little vulnerable the last few weeks, which is okay. Long season, not saying they're bad or anything, but this could be like, we can start the hot take could be, are the Packers back? I don't see a world where the Packers make the playoffs, even if they win next week. Or this week. So if they lose this week, I just see, is it time to just give Jordan Love a shot? And like this Rodgers thing is just over. We tried, we failed. We let Devontae walk. We're going to shop you. We got to get a look at our guy this weekend as Missouri just hauls in just an insane match. But is this just the end of Aaron Rodgers? Like if they look really bad and they're like, hey, Aaron, get thumb surgery. Let's call it quits here. So that will be my hot take. I think the Eagles are kind of going to rout the Packers this week on Sunday night. I think this is a take your frustrations out type game.
I hope you're right. And I think that even if they do, I think that might be the smartest thing for them because
why not? If he needs thumb surgery, just dude. What's the point? You're old. Like you're 38, 37, 38. Like why are you
that's what I was about to say. 37, 38. You're going to try and get something for him in the offseason. You want him to be as healthy as possible. And now that the entire world knows that he needs thumb surgery, let's try to sit it down and try to recoup any type of value for Jordan Love. Because if you can somehow finesse any NFL team to trade for Jordan Love also, and maybe get a pick for him, that's the situation that you want to be in because the quarterback of the future is not on this roster right now. Jordan Love, he's not the guy for.
We don't know though. He could be.
No, we
gotta give him a shot.
We do know though because And my thing on Jordan Love has always been that in the offseason, whenever Aaron Rodgers was away from the team and they didn't know if he was coming back, we never heard anything about Jordan, like, oh, Jordan Love, he's really spinning it in practice. Like not even the fake, training camp stories where they're trying to hype everybody up.
Like
Because
muscle watch.
because it just wasn't there. And so if he was any type of decent, we would have heard something like that.
Okay.
And we never heard any of it. So I'm out on Jordan Love. I don't think that he has anything to give the Packers. So I think that they.
But do you agree? But you do agree,
Yes,
though,
I
that
do.
it might be best.
I do agree.
Yeah, it would be best just like give him a chance because he could be like if he is good, then great. You move Rodgers. I think that people are going to be in the market. Like I think the Jets are going to make a serious push for one of these quarterbacks, whether it's Carr, Rodgers, Lamar. I think they're going to be in the market to really improve their offense. Like
they
now.
should go get Carr. I wouldn't.
But
I wouldn't wait. No, but like I wouldn't waste an asset on Rodgers just because I think that his ego and everything that comes with Aaron Rodgers, that's too much for a team that's trying to rebuild culture.
Okay.
You need a guy like Derek Carr to kind of come in and just be that quarterback.
Okay,
So
I feel that.
I like that point more than the Rodgers one.
But yeah, if they lose, like back to I guess like the current state, if they lose, they're 4-8. Even if they win, they're 5-7. They're 5 game. The Vikings now are what 8-2, 9-2. I mean, they're not catching them in the division, and the wild card isn't set. But you're 2 games off the pace already with Seattle and the Niners jockeying for position. The NFC East. I mean, the Commanders are already ahead of you, and they have a tiebreaker over you. So I just think that this Packer season's done. Get this guy some surgery, and see what happens in the offseason and give this. Maybe you do have something with Jordan Love. Worst case, you bump up his trade value. So I think we're going to be talking about like let's shut down Aaron Rodgers for the season, which is really dark to think about, but is what it is. You let Devontae Adams go. This is kind of what you get.
Yeah, makes sense. The Packers right now are the 11th seed in the NFC behind Washington, who despite being 6-5 is outside the playoffs. So the Packers are behind Washington, Atlanta, and Detroit. If they win, then
they've lost to the Lions and the Commanders, so bump them back another game because they have to get over them. I guess the Lions you could make back a game, but the Commanders definitely not.
Yeah.
So I mean, this season's kind of dead for them already.
Yeah, it's kind of over. It's kind of done.
All right, so there's some NFL hot takes. You're welcome for giving them to you before they're talking about on ESPN on Monday. So I am taking I'm saying that Rodgers might be time for him to take the rest of the season off, and Donovan's gonna be talking about how the Bengals are gonna be the hot trendy team this week. There's always one team that really impresses, and everyone's like, oh, keep an eye on them. They're still around. We've been off the scent for a little bit. There's some good NFL talk. Let's bring it back to tonight though and talk some NBA game of the night. We got Bucks, Cavs, a little Central Division showdown. And these are, in my opinion, if you're talking so far in the Eastern Conference, I guess we'll start big picture and then bring it into tonight. But you got Boston at the top at 14-4. Bucks right there. They've cooled off a little bit, but Giannis missed a few games at 12-5. Cavs third place, 12-6. So half game difference between them. In my opinion, these are the 3 best teams in the Eastern Conference so far this season. Forget the standings, just in terms of eye test.
Yes.
Philly hasn't looked the part yet. Miami, we know, is sputtering. The Nets, we know, are a disaster. I still don't treat Atlanta in that regard. Like good team, maybe a playoff team, but that's kind of it. So these to me are the 3 best teams in the East. They played a few weeks ago. Milwaukee won by 15, I believe it was. So kind of a rematch here. Donovan, what are you seeing, I guess, from both these teams? Any, something you want to harp on, you want to mention, and then we could talk about the game itself, because these games matter. Before you know it, ready, we're ready. This is game like 18, 19 for these teams. Before you know it, tiebreakers come into play. You're trying to win a division. You're trying to host a series. These are important games, even though it may not seem it in late November.
Yeah. So here are a couple things. So with the Bucks, I am very, very optimistic. They were my preseason NBA Finals champion pick. I've been saying since the day they got eliminated, I've been saying that they would win the championship this year. And I'm very optimistic because even though that they have the 23rd offense in the league right now, they are still top 5 in net rating. And it's because they have the best defense in the league. Giannis and Brook Lopez are impenetrable as a wall. And so once Chris Middleton comes back, once Pat Connaughton comes back, and they get more shooting, they get more playmaking, more ball handling, I expect them to rise up and hit their peak. For Cleveland, I think that it's just so fun to see them with this dynamic backcourt in Garland and Mitchell and Donovan can go off any night for 30, and I think that he gives them a much needed punch. That way, the entire scoring load isn't on Darius Garland because Karis LeVert is also out now, and so he's supposed to be the third guard in this rotation, and now he's not there. So like without Donovan Mitchell, all the offensive pressure would be on Darius Garland to be that engine, to set everything up, to score. He doesn't have to worry about that. He can get his points on the floor of the offense. Donovan Mitchell can be all-star level candidate. So I think right now both teams are set up very well going forward, and I think that they can only get better, which is really weird, especially for a Cavs team that started off as well as you could have.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
absolutely. The Cavs cooled off a little bit. They came back to earth
Yeah.
ever so slightly. Not that they've been bad, but what they started, what was it, 8-1 or something? So I mean, they got off to an incredible
Both teams.
start.
Both teams.
Yeah.
The Bucks started off 8-0. So, but
I
no,
think
they have some bright futures.
100%. And I mean, I remember watching a few weeks ago, both. I mean, this isn't the game itself, but like Cavs Celtics. I'm just saying, like, wow, these are two just high. This is a high level regular season game. Like when these get to when you get to the playoffs, and I mean, one way or another, you're going to see these three teams probably play each other in the postseason.
Yeah.
You know, to me, these are the big three. There's just so much talent on the floor. And Milwaukee's still not even at full strength. Drew Holiday's missed time. Giannis missed time. Chris Middleton obviously hasn't even played yet. So I'm with you, though. I'm going to take Milwaukee. This number has shot out a little bit. I know you got in the morning at 2.5. It's out to 4.5 now. I still like Milwaukee, though, even at that number. I think that defense, like you said, is a real big issue here. And I think that I think Milwaukee's defense is built, though. They want to see the, perimeter shot. They don't want to give it up inside. And that's kind of a big deal with, Cleveland, who has two twin towers and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They want to get the ball inside. And if they're not going to be able to, just feels like a lot of pressure on some outside shooting. And I don't trust it. I trust this Milwaukee defense to show up. They are a well-defined unit, even though Chris Middleton isn't there. They know what they're getting. And, I love Evan Mobley. I think he's legit. I don't think he has the physicality yet to handle. I mean, he's 20 years old. He can't handle Giannis. And Jared Allen, I watched him with the Nets for years. He doesn't have the strength either. He doesn't have the strength for Giannis.
Yeah.
So
I like. I think we're both on the same side. And like you said, I got this line at 2.5, so a little bit of a better line. But I think Milwaukee still is going to be able to win this game kind of comfortably, especially coming off of that win against against that loss against Chicago. And when I was writing up the preview, check the numbers. The Bucks are 46-20. I think it's against the spread after a loss since 2020, right? So in the last 3 years since Bud has come over, since we've gotten this whole core, they're really good. They respond really, really well. And so I think that that's what they're going to do. It's a Friday night at home. You had yesterday off. You had some time to recover. I think they get this one big.
Yeah, and I mean, you just look at last game between these two. Milwaukee out-rebounded Cleveland 52-34. That is an incredible difference. I mean, the NBA, like, not to dumb it down to such a simple thing, but if you could win the rebounding margin, you could limit your turnovers, just get more shots than the other team. Like every team is so good that just simply having more shots on the basket, you're going to win more times than not, just because it's a pure volume thing. All these teams are so efficient, and even the worst team on the right night, if they take 20 more shots than the other team, you're going to win. So I think you're going to see, like Milwaukee in this game, they shot 15-27 from the free throw line, but they got 10 more free throws up than Cleveland. So I think you see Milwaukee pull away here and get that win. So checking in with what the community voted on this one. They're with us. They're taking the Bucks -4. They agree that Milwaukee is right now just better team than Cleveland. That's okay. We'll see if these two meet in the postseason, and that would be a really fun series, especially like Middleton back. Get everyone on the floor. That would be a lot of fun. But yeah, great show. If you missed our best bets, go rewind. You'll check them out. While you're over here, though, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. We got all that. If you also want some more college football picks for this weekend, my show, The Early Read, live every Tuesday. You can go check the replay out of that. It's got plenty of picks, got plenty of info on the Heisman race, college football playoff, Michigan, Ohio State, all that good stuff. It's all in there, so check that out. But Donovan, happy Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday, happy, just have a good weekend. So this is, by the way, like one of the most underrated sports weekends in a long time with the World Cup being involved. But this is always a great one. So big shout out to JJ, our video producer. Until then, we will see you next week. Everybody have a happy and profitable weekend.